They said NYU rejected me. They said I wasn't smart enough. They made me work at the family store while my brother went to Columbia on my money. When my mother died, I found the box, every acceptance letter, every scholarship offer, every check they'd cashed in my name. I didn't cry. I called a lawyer. What I did to my father's estate made my brother homeless. Drop a comment and let me know where you re-listening from and what time it is for you right now. I'd love to know who's part of our community. My name is Dominique Ashford, and I'm 38 years old. For 20 years, I believed I was the stupid one. The one who wasn't good enough. The one who had to stay behind while everyone else moved forward. My parents told me that story so many times I stopped questioning it. I built my entire identity around being the daughter who didn't make it. They lied. They lied about everything. And when I found the proof, I burned their legacy to the ground. Let me take you back to the summer of 2005. I was 18 years old, graduating from Lincoln High School in Queens, New York, with a 3.9 GPA and dreams of becoming a journalist. I had applied to 7 universities: NYU, Columbia, Boston University, Syracuse, Northwestern, USC, and my safety school, SUNY Albany. I had written essays about growing up in my parents' grocery store, about watching my immigrant mother count change at 2 a.m., about wanting to tell stories that mattered. My mother, Pauline, ran the family bodega on Jamaica Avenue. My father, Harold, did the books and managed the suppliers. My older brother, Marcus, was the golden child, handsome, charming, and headed to Columbia University on what my parents called a partial scholarship. I didn't know then that his scholarship was actually my scholarship. I didn't know that my parents had been intercepting my mail for months. I didn't know that the thick envelope from NYU that would have changed my life had arrived in April and been hidden in a box in my mother's desk closet. What I knew was this: on a Tuesday afternoon in late April, my mother sat me down at the kitchen table and told me that every school had rejected me. "I'm sorry, baby," she said, not quite meeting my eyes. "You did your best, but college isn't for everyone. Some people are meant to work with their hands." I was devastated. I had checked the mailbox every day for weeks. I had watched my friends celebrate their acceptances. I had dreamed of moving into a dorm, of taking journalism classes, of finally becoming someone other than the girl from the bodega. "What about the applications?" I asked. "Can I see the rejection letters?" My mother shook her head. "I threw them away. No need to keep painful reminders." I believed her. Why wouldn't I? She was my mother. She had braided my hair for school pictures and made me soup when I was sick. She had no reason to lie to me. Except she did. She had a $127,000 reason. That summer, while Marcus packed for Columbia, I unpacked my dreams. My parents announced that I would work at the store full-time, just until I figured out my next steps. Those next steps never came. 1 year became 2. 2 became 5. 5 became 10. I worked the register. I stocked shelves. I managed inventory when my father's eyesight started failing. I became the backbone of Ashford Family Grocery, the invisible engine that kept the business running while my brother earned his degree, then his MBA, then his corner office at a consulting firm in Manhattan. Marcus visited twice a year, Thanksgiving and Christmas. He would pull up in his BMW, kiss my mother on the cheek, slip my father a check to help with the bills, and look at me with the particular pity reserved for family members who didn't make it out. "You should take some community college classes," he told me once, sipping wine at the Thanksgiving table. "It's never too late to improve yourself." I wanted to throw the gravy boat at his head. But I smiled and nodded, because that's what I did. That's who I was. The good daughter. The one who stayed. The years blurred together. I dated a little, but nothing serious. How could I bring someone home to a life that wasn't going anywhere? I watched my high school friends get married, have children, build careers. I scrolled through their social media posts at night, alone in my childhood bedroom at 32 years old, wondering what was wrong with me. I had accepted my mother's verdict. I was the one who wasn't smart enough. The one who wasn't good enough. The one who was meant to work with her hands. Then my mother got sick. Pancreatic cancer. Stage 4 by the time they found it. She lasted 11 weeks from diagnosis to death. I held her hand in the hospice, fed her ice chips, told her I loved her. I meant it. Despite everything, despite the resentment I didn't even know I was entitled to feel, I loved her. She died on a Sunday morning in March. She was 67 years old. The funeral was small. Marcus flew in from Manhattan, looking appropriately grief-stricken in his designer black suit. My father sat in the front pew, broken and silent, a man who had lost his partner of 44 years. I handled everything, the arrangements, the obituary, the reception at the church hall afterward. That's what I did. That's who I was. 3 weeks later, I started cleaning out my mother's things. My father couldn't bear to do it. Marcus was too busy with work. So I spent my evenings in my parents' bedroom, sorting through decades of accumulated life. Clothes for donation. Jewelry for the family. Paperwork for the lawyer. That's when I found the box. It was in the back of her closet, behind a stack of old shoeboxes and beneath a quilt my grandmother had made. A plain cardboard box, the kind you'd use for storing documents, with my name written on the lid in my mother's handwriting. I thought it might be keepsakes. Old report cards, maybe. Childhood artwork. The kinds of things mothers save because they can't bear to throw away pieces of their children's past. I opened it at 9:47 p.m. on a Thursday night. I know the exact time because I looked at the clock afterward, trying to anchor myself to reality. Inside were envelopes. Dozens of them. All addressed to me, Dominique Ashford, 147-22, Jamaica Avenue, Queens, New York, 11435. All from universities. All unopened except for one thing: each envelope had been carefully slit along the top, the contents removed and read, then returned and stored. I pulled out the first envelope. NYU. The letter inside was dated April 3, 2005. Dear Ms. Ashford, congratulations. On behalf of the Office of Admissions, I am delighted to inform you that you have been admitted to New York University's College of Arts and Science for the fall 2005 semester. I read it 3 times. My hands were shaking so badly the paper rattled. I pulled out the next envelope. Columbia University. Dear Dominic, it is with great pleasure that I inform you of your admission to Columbia College. And the next. Boston University. Accepted. And the next. Northwestern. Accepted with a $15,000 annual scholarship. And the next. Syracuse. Full ride. For years of tuition, room, and board covered by the Newhouse School of Public Communications. Every single school had accepted me. Not just accepted, wanted me. Offered me money. Invited me to join their communities and build a future. And my parents had stolen it all. At the bottom of the box, I found the checks. Photocopies of scholarship checks made out to me, endorsed on the back with my forged signature, deposited into an account I had never seen. The amounts varied: $5,000 here, $12,000 there, one-time awards and renewable scholarships alike. The total, according to the handwritten ledger my mother had kept, was $127,450. $127,000. My money. My future. Stolen by my own parents and used to pay for my brother's education. Marcus hadn't gone to Columbia on a partial scholarship. He had gone on my scholarship. Every check made out in my name had been cashed and funneled into his tuition payments. My parents had literally sold my future to buy his. I sat on my mother's closet floor for 2 hours. I didn't cry. I was beyond crying. I was in a state of shock so profound that my body forgot how to produce tears. 20 years. I had lost 20 years of my life believing I wasn't good enough. I had worked in a grocery store for 2 decades while my brother built a career on money that was stolen from me. I had watched him pity me at holiday dinners, never knowing that his entire success was built on my bones. At midnight, I took photographs of every document. Every acceptance letter. Every scholarship offer. Every forged check. Every page of my mother's meticulous ledger, documenting exactly how much she had taken and where it had gone. Then I called a lawyer. Victoria Okonkwo was a partner at a firm that specialized in estate litigation and financial fraud. I had found her through a legal aid referral. I couldn't afford anyone fancy, but Victoria took my case pro bono after she saw the documents. This is one of the most clear-cut cases of fraud and conversion I've ever seen, she said at our first meeting. Your parents forged your signature to endorse scholarship checks made payable to you. They deposited those funds without your knowledge or consent. And they used those funds for the direct benefit of your brother, not you. Can I sue my father? I asked. Can I sue Marcus? Victoria leaned back in her chair. You can do better than that. Your father is the executor of your mother's estate, correct? Yes. And the estate includes the family home and the bodega? Yes. The house is worth maybe $600,000 now. The business probably another $300,000, including inventory and equipment. Your mother stole $127,000 from you. Your father was complicit. He managed the family finances, so he had to know about the deposits. Under New York law, you have a claim against the estate for the stolen funds, plus interest, plus damages. And because the fraud was ongoing and deliberate, you may also have criminal fraud charges available. What about Marcus? Victoria smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. Your brother was the direct beneficiary of stolen funds. If he knew about the source of those funds, and given that he was a legal adult who presumably saw his tuition bills, he may be liable for unjust enrichment. At minimum, we can demand restitution of the full amount he received. I felt something ignite in my chest. Not anger, exactly. Something colder. Something more patient. What do you need from me? Everything you have. And I need you to say nothing to your father or brother until we're ready to file. I spent the next 6 weeks preparing. I gathered every document I could find: tax returns, bank statements, property records, business filings. Victoria's team subpoenaed financial records from Columbia University confirming that Marcus's tuition had been paid from a checking account in my parents' names, with deposits matching the exact amounts of my stolen scholarships. We built a case so airtight that my family would have no defense. They could not claim ignorance. They could not claim good intentions. They could not claim it was all a misunderstanding. I said nothing. I worked my shifts at the store. I ate dinner with my father, who was still grieving, who still looked at me with the casual dismissiveness of a man who had never seen his daughter as anything more than free labor. I waited. The confrontation happened on a Saturday, at the family house. I had called a family meeting to discuss the estate, and Marcus had driven in from Manhattan, already irritated about giving up his weekend. Victoria was with me, along with a court reporter to document everything. My father looked confused when they walked in. Marcus looked annoyed. "What is this?" he asked, gesturing at Victoria. "I thought we were discussing Mom's estate." "We are," I said. I placed the cardboard box on the dining room table, the same table where my mother had told me I wasn't smart enough for college. I found something in Mom's closet. I opened the box and laid out the contents. The acceptance letters. The scholarship offers. The forged checks. The ledger. "Do you recognize these, Dad?" My father's face went pale. He reached for the Columbia acceptance letter with trembling hands, then pulled back like it had burned him. "Where did you find this?" "In Mom's closet. She kept everything. Every letter. Every check. Every record of what you stole from me." Marcus grabbed one of the scholarship letters. His eyes scanned it, then scanned it again. "This has to be fake. There's no way you got into Columbia." "I got into Columbia, Marcus. I got into NYU. I got into Northwestern on a scholarship. I got a full ride to Syracuse. And Mom and Dad cashed every single scholarship check, forged my signature, and used the money to pay for your tuition." The room went silent. Marcus looked at our father. Our father looked at the floor. "Dad," Marcus said. "Tell her this isn't true." My father didn't answer. He couldn't. The proof was sitting on the table in front of him. "It was your mother's idea," he finally said, his voice barely a whisper. She said Marcus had more potential. She said you were happy working at the store. She said you didn't want to leave." I was 18 years old. I screamed. The composure I had maintained for weeks finally cracked. "I wanted to be a journalist. I had dreams. I had a future. And you stole it from me so your precious son could get a degree he didn't earn." Marcus stood up. "I didn't know. Dominic, I swear to God, I didn't know where the money came from. You saw your tuition bills. You saw the account it was paid from. You knew Mom and Dad didn't have that kind of money. You didn't ask because you didn't want to know." Victoria stepped forward. Mr. Ashford Jr., I am representing Dominique in a civil action against this estate and against both of you personally. The claims include fraud, conversion, unjust enrichment, and intentional infliction of emotional distress." She handed each of them a stack of documents. "These are the complaints we're filing Monday morning. We are seeking $127,450 in stolen scholarship funds, plus 20 years of compound interest, plus compensatory damages for the career and educational opportunities Dominique lost. The total claim against the estate is $1.2 million. My father's face crumpled. "We don't have that kind of money." "The estate does," Victoria said. "The house and the business together are valued at approximately $900,000. We will be seeking a judgment that allows Dominique to claim those assets as partial satisfaction of the debt owed to her." Marcus's face went from pale to gray. "You're going to take the house?" "Dad's house. I'm going to take what was stolen from me," I said. "You built your entire career on money that belonged to me. Your Columbia degree, your MBA, your corner office, all of it was purchased with my future. Now I'm taking it back. Dominic, please." My father was crying now, something I had never seen in my entire life. "Your mother is gone. Don't destroy what's left of this family." I looked at him. This man who had signed the forged checks. Who had helped file false tax returns. Who had watched me waste 20 years of my life in a grocery store and never said a word. "You destroyed this family 20 years ago," I said. "You just didn't tell me about it." The settlement took 4 months to negotiate. My father didn't have the resources to fight a prolonged legal battle. And Marcus's own attorney advised him that the evidence was overwhelming. Fighting would only increase the damages and add legal fees they couldn't afford. In the end, I got the house. I got the business. I got a cash payment of $180,000 from Marcus, a fraction of what his degree had cost, but everything he had in liquid assets. He had to sell his BMW. He had to move out of his Manhattan apartment. He had to take a second mortgage on the condo he'd just bought. My father moved into a small rental apartment in Jersey City. Marcus stopped speaking to me entirely. The rest of the extended family split. Some said I was justified, others said I had gone too far. I didn't care what they thought. For 20 years, they had watched me waste away in that store. Not one of them had ever asked why the smart girl with the good grades was still working the register at 35. They had accepted my parents' story just like I had. I sold the bodega for $340,000. I sold the house for $620,000. After legal fees and taxes, I cleared just over $800,000. I was 38 years old with no degree, no career, and almost $1 million in the bank. I had to figure out what to do with the rest of my life. I enrolled at NYU. Not as a traditional student, I took advantage of their adult learner program, attending classes part-time while I figured out my path. I studied journalism, just like I dreamed of at 18. I wrote essays about growing up in a bodega, about watching my mother count change at 2 a.m., about the day I discovered my parents had stolen my future. One of those essays was published in the New York Times Modern Love column. It went viral. Media outlets reached out. Publishers called. I'm writing a book now. A memoir about educational theft, about family betrayal, about rebuilding your life after 40. Marcus emailed me once, about a year after the settlement. He said he was sorry. He said he hadn't known. He asked if we could find a way to move forward as a family. I didn't respond. Some doors, once closed, should stay closed. My father died last winter. Heart attack, quick and sudden, alone in his Jersey City apartment. I didn't go to the funeral. I sent flowers instead, a small arrangement of white lilies with a card that said, "From your daughter." I don't know if anyone understood the message. I don't care if they did. I am 40 years old now. I have a degree from NYU, a book deal, and a future I never thought I'd have. I lost 20 years to a lie, but I refused to lose 20 more to bitterness. My mother kept that box because she couldn't bear to destroy the evidence of what she'd done. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was sentimentality. Maybe, somewhere in her complicated heart, she knew the truth would come out eventually. It did. And when it did, I made sure everyone paid for what they took from me. If you've ever discovered a truth that changed everything you believed about your life, share your story below. And if you believe it's never too late to reclaim your future, subscribe.